Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm here with another review. And this is 90 Day Fiance, Season 4 Episode 14, Hard Habit to Break. So guys, today I'm going to be talking about Geoffrey and Varya. As you know, I don't really like to talk about Geoffrey too much. I never want to be the one to send out the message, crime does pay. And Geoffrey said of his previous record, only God can judge me. You're right, Geoffrey. And alongside God, there's the Knox County Domestic Court. They can judge you. Knoxville City Municipal Court. Moving up, there's Tennessee State Court and Tennessee Supreme Court. In addition to all of this, the Ebird will judge you each and every week. So you see, Geoffrey, not only God will judge you, everybody else will. But guys, I'm going to try and stay on the beaten track for this review. And I'm going to be discussing today the crazy love triangle between Geoffrey, Varya and Mary. How did we get here? Where do we go? But first, if you haven't done so as yet, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please just click the red button and make Ebird a very happy Ebird. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Ebird99. So as we know, Geoffrey's back in the USA, but I just want to wind back a little bit to find out what happened last with Varya before he left Russia. So a couple of weeks ago, Geoffrey went to spend some quality time in a sauna in Siberia with Varia, and they were basically, I think, having a sauna and then jumping into an ice cold lake, and it seemed like they were having a great time. At one point they had to beat each other with tree branches. Geoffrey took to it like a duck to water. Yep, he was real good at that, and things seemed to be going extremely well. Geoffrey sat Varia down and said, we've talked about my past and now you've accepted me for me. Geoffrey, you've told her about 1/10 of your tick sheet. Although it has to be said, his recent charges may well have post-dated the actual talk with Varia. So let's just get it straight, Geoffrey. She's accepted you for who you say you are, but who you say you are isn't who you are. I digress. Geoffrey gets down on bended knee and asks Varia, will you marry me? And Varia looked at him for a very long time, and she ummed and ahed and said, you're an amazing person and a really great guy. And in my mind, Varia ostensibly said no. Now I know there's been much ado about people saying she said not right now, she didn't say no, but we'll go into a little bit later why I think she did say no. And she also said that she wasn't ready to leave everything here. Very interesting, Varia. Because all your previous chats were, I want to go to America, and also everything as in what everything. From what I can see, you have 6 nosy friends, and a rather dishevelled apartment. And then she tells production, I love him, but I'm not sure that I could trust him in everything. And Varia, anything. You couldn't trust him in anything. And then he said, so you're basically saying no. And Varia inclined her head to one side, and then Geoffrey said, well that's it, we're over. So when I first watched this, I didn't look too closely. I've never been interested in Geoffrey's storyline for obvious reasons. But I just thought that he'd asked her to marry him. She'd said no because he was a criminal. And he was then a little bit moody. And so he said, right, that's it. We're finished. I don't want to wait for you. That's the end of the story. I'm going home tomorrow. We won't speak again. And so my first take on it all was that Geoffrey's being the childish little brat he always is. But then when the triangle happened, I decided to look back over the other weeks in a little bit more detail, and I discovered the following. So the first point is, he said to Varia, so you're basically saying no. And she waited for about 10 seconds before she actually said, I'm saying not right now. But she didn't say, we will get married in the future, or I want to get to know you. So she didn't offer him any timeline. So she didn't say, if we're still together in 6 months, yep, let's do it. She didn't say, only when I've met your friends and family. She didn't offer him any return trip to Russia. And she didn't offer to go over to the United States to get an idea for where he lived. So it just kind of seemed like she said, not right now, but with nothing else. So when I put myself in Geoffrey's shoes, I kind of thought, I wouldn't really like that answer either. And not right now is supposed to have a caveat. A caveat is what I'd need. And then the second thing is, to production she said she feels embarrassed and bad and sad, and the truth be told, one would assume that the clothes that she wears and the purple mascara make her feel that way, but I digress. She went on to say she sees that her answer hurts him. But then what's this? Let me play you this video.
I feel embarrassed and bad and sad. I see that it hurts him.
Guys, is Varia biting the inside of her lips to stop herself from smirking? I think she is. Yep, there it's a definite smile. I've always thought Varia was a shady mofo. And this is just another bit of evidence. So she got a little bit of a power play, a little bit of a kick from that whole, not right now, I'm embarrassed and sad. No, you're not, Varia. You kind of enjoyed it. So anyway, the next time we see these guys, they're at the airport, and Geoffrey kind of low-key gave Varia another chance. She said, I don't feel like this is the end. And Geoffrey said, yes it is. And Geoffrey said, you don't know how much you hurt me yesterday, turning me down. I came to Russia with a clear plan to marry you if everything went okay. And you've really, really hurt me. She just kind of smiled at him and looked at him fairly blankly. And again, she could have jumped in and said, but I will marry you in time. Let me come to America in a couple of months' time, and if everything goes well, we'll get engaged there. There was nothing. She's given nada, zilcho, nothing. And at this point, Geoffrey decides he's going to pull the rug. So Varia said, I don't feel like this is the end of our relationship. And by that, what I think Varia means is, I want to stay in Russia for another 6 months. I've already got you in the bag. I'm going to start dating other guys that I'm talking to on the website that I was talking to other guys on. And on my WhatsApp, which I'll reactivate the moment that you get on the plane, and I'll see what better offers I have. And if I have no better offers, then I'll pop up in Tennessee and we'll see where it takes us. That is what Varia is saying to me. So let me know what you think down below, because I'm really interested on this part to see if we're on the same page. And so when Varia said she doesn't feel like it's the end, Geoffrey said, yes it is. I don't know how I could be any clearer. I'm gonna live my life apart from you. And Geoffrey hugged Varia, and Varia kind of started crying. I don't know if it was faux crying or real crying, but you could tell she was upset. And she does like Geoffrey. She's just weighing up all her options, I think. And as she looked upset, Geoffrey pulled her in close. But again, Geoffrey was smiling. Geoffrey was definitely enjoying the moment. He had a little smirk on his face. So Varia's outside, and of course she runs back in, TLC styly. Guys, where would we be without the TLC run back into the airport moment? She grabs him and says, I don't want to let you go. And Geoffrey says, I think you're in the moment right now. I need someone to love me and to not stop. You second guess the situation and I'm very hurt. And he said, wish me good luck for my flight. What is it I'm supposed to be wishing for, Geoffrey? That nobody on your flight's got a bloody nut allergy, so nobody can have peanuts? Am I wishing you the good luck of a really fit air hostess? Maybe he needs good luck to get bumped up to business class. Who knows? But I just think it was Geoffrey trying to rub it in. Wish me luck for my flight. In other words, I'll never see you again, Varia. Little do you know, Varia's crazy. And he smiles as she was crying, and he tells us the rejection was too much. And to be fair to Geoffrey, I kind of catch that, because I feel like she was saying, no, I won't marry you, not yet. Not until I've looked around at all the other eligible bachelors from America and deciphered if they were any better than you are. Okay, so next we arrive at the crazy love triangle between Geoffrey, Varya and Mary. So on the plane home, Geoffrey tells us that Varya was constantly texting him, please forgive me, I made a mistake, I love you. And when Geoffrey finally gets back to the US, he told his 2 older boys about what happened with Varya, and he said that she rejected him due to his criminal background, which to some extent I think is true. But then he said something which was ultimately really telling, and this goes to the very heart of what I think Geoffrey is, a little narcissist. He said, when I was at the airport, I was like, bye, see you, have a nice life. And he was almost making fun of the fact that he was like, I'll never see you again. Now you've said no to this and you haven't done things the way that I wanted them to be done, in the manner that I prescribed. It's finished, and I'm the one to pull the rug. And that to me is Geoffrey to a T. Oh yeah, and he bought his boys some awful t-shirts. So the next time we see him, he was dirt biking with his kids, and he brought them to one side and he said, you remember Mary, don't you? And they were like, yeah. And he was like, well, I've been seeing her. And they were like, well, that's what you've been up to. So obviously he's been spending nights out. Otherwise, what's to know? And then he also said that Varia had been texting, but that he didn't answer. And the boys seemed to approve of his relationship with Mary. But in the very next scene, we see Varia. And guess where she is? She's already in the US of A. And she tells us, surprise, my tourist visa got approved and I'm here to reconnect with Geoffrey. She said, I love him and I'm going to be staying here for 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Where are you going to be staying, Varia? Well, she's got 1 night in a hotel and then she's got another 13 nights at Geoffrey's house. There were 3 in the bed and the little one said, oh dear, oh dear. Varia tells us she's going to do her best to be drop dead gorgeous by tomorrow. Okay then, you stay hopeful, baby girl. Keep those fingers crossed. So it's very shocking to me that she wants to stay with Geoffrey for 2 weeks, but it seems as if she needs to borrow his clothes as well as stay with him, because she's only brought with her a weekend suitcase. And then we see a catch up from Geoffrey's point of view, and he tells us he's been back in the US for weeks, and is taking Mary for a nice dinner. Geoffrey, what's weeks? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 4 weeks? 26 weeks? 148 weeks? What's weeks, Geoffrey? Inquiring minds need to know. But I digress. He tells us he's taking Mary for a nice dinner. He's very excited, and he tells us they have history together. They didn't work out in the past. I don't know what you guys think, but I always think if it didn't work out in the past, why is it going to work now? He's known Mary for 20 years. He's seen all she's got to offer, and she sees everything that he's, well, serving up, literally. And Geoffrey sort of flip-flops around it and says, well, we have history, i.e. we've hooked up before, but the timeline never worked, i.e. I was in another relationship and she was my bit on the side. That's honestly what I think. I genuinely think that, and I'm going to let you know a little bit later why that's the case. So yeah, I always just believe that this whole we were right under each other's noses just really smacks of there's no other great options around at the moment, so this is literally a space filler. So Geoffrey and Mary are going for a meal that evening, and Mary arrived at the restaurant wearing an absolutely horrendous faux fur coat. It was literally the worst thing I've ever seen. It assaulted my eyes and now it's burned into my retina. I wish I'd never seen it. I hope never to see it again. I actually believe if Peter, you know those anti-fur activists, had seen this coat, they may well revise their views. Okay, well let's say Rabbit go by the wayside, just so we never have to see this kind of crap again. Simply awful. And Geoffrey wasn't much better. He tied his tie with the very tiniest of knots. And they sat down and waxed lyrical on their relationship, and Geoffrey was very matter of fact. It seems that he's this way, doesn't it? He said, what would you rather have, us to be friends for the rest of our lives, or to have a life partner for us to be together in a relationship for the rest of our lives? And of course, Mary says, I want to be your partner for the rest of our lives. But Geoffrey, you've forgot another option. The third option was shagging for 3 months, a very messy, nasty breakup, and then standing at opposite ends of the room for all eternity when joint friends have parties. That was a third option, and I think at this moment in time, that's by far the most likely. And Geoffrey said, I'm glad that you said you want to be my life partner. Let's start a relationship. And Mary said, on one condition. Do you still talk to Varia? And he said, no, we're completely done. And she said, as long as you don't talk to Varia, I don't care. So the next morning, Varia's on the way to Geoffrey's house, and to be fair, she looks about as good as she could do. She definitely scrubbed up better than when she was in Russia. And her hair seems to have grown about 6 inches in this intervening alleged 3 weeks. And she tells the taxi driver all about the saga. And the driver says, well, good luck. You know, there are always second chances, and I believe the driver will have a second chance to take Varia back to the hotel at the end of the day. 2 trips for you, taxi driver, double the dollars. And so Varia arrives at Geoffrey's house, and his guard dogs are standing by. And Varia manages to disarm these massive guard dogs with just a few words of Russian. Oh Lord, no wonder Geoffrey's had his collar felt so often. These dogs are rubbish. Retraining's in order. In fact, we need that dog whisperer. What's his name? Caesar Milan. We need Caesar Milan. These dogs are not fit for purpose. So Varia knocks on the door, and when Geoffrey answers, she literally jumps into his arms. They hug, but then what's this? Suddenly Mary pops up. What's going on? And then Varia said, what's she doing here? And Mary said, why are you here? You're the one in the wrong. And Varia starts yelling straight away. She went mad. She said, I'm not talking to you. Who are you? Why are you even here? Why are you at my man's house? Varia, we still haven't established that Geoffrey's even a man. And then Geoffrey said, meet my son Paxton. And Paxton's just casually making breakfast in the kitchen. He didn't even bat an eyelid. I bet those eyes have seen a bit. And to the producers, Geoffrey says, it's not Mary's fault. I haven't spoken to Varia at all since I left Russia. So it's difficult to know what I make of this. This is what I think. I don't think there's been no contact whatsoever. I don't think he's given her a complete blank. That would be virtually impossible. If she turned up on the basis of a complete blank, she's a psychopath. I think probably what's happened is he's liked pictures on her Insta. He's had a few little words here or there. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? But I think there's been no real discussions and there's been no real talk about the relationship. But I don't know if I believe that he hasn't spoken to her at all. In fact, no, I don't. And back at the door of Geoffrey's house, Varia is still chirping on. She says she really irritates me. Just her being there. She's so irritating. Can't we talk without her? And Mary said, you need to pipe down. You need to be quieter. But to production, Mary's really upset, and I do actually feel really sorry for Mary. She said, "It's embarrassing. I feel like a fool. It's not fair. I don't like feeling this way." But Geoffrey's enjoying all of this, and he's standing there with his arms folded, just giving a kind of smirk stroke smile. He's so irritating, he really is. How is it that somebody like Geoffrey has got two women fighting over him? And Varia asks, "You seem surprised. Is this a bad surprise?" And Geoffrey looks furtively behind him to see if Mary's listening, and then he says, No, it's not a bad surprise. I'm just surprised. Why are you looking furtive to see if Mary's listening?" Then when Mary comes to the door again, she's got all of her stuff and she's looking to leave, and Varia says, "Move, bitch. Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way." Literally, she actually said that though. I was shocked. Varia's gone way down in my estimation. She knows very well. Her and Geoffrey were finished. Geoffrey's moved on. Was it quick? Yeah, but that's not Mary's fault. That's down to Geoffrey. But now you're standing in her country at her partner's door calling her a bitch. Whew. I think you're very lucky the TLC cameras are there, because word on the street, i.e. Starchasm, don't worry, I'll link them down below, have given me good reason to believe that Mary is quite partial to a backhander if somebody gets super mouthy. And Mary's forgotten something, so she goes back into the house, and Varia quickly says, "Geoffrey, you didn't respond to my messages." Varia, is that not a hint? And I'm beginning to think now that Varia is not wrapped too tight. And finally Mary storms off, and she has the flowers that he bought her in her hand, and she said, "I take it you won't be needing these." And later on Mary said to production, "I just couldn't believe that he stood there with his arms crossed." She said, "I feel duped and betrayed." And to be quite honest, if I were Mary, I for sure would never believe that they hadn't been in contact. It does sound as if they've been in very little contact, if anything at all. But if I were Mary, I would think, you were talking to her all along. You knew she was coming. I'd never ever believe she just popped up like she did. And I hate sticking up for Geoffrey at this point, but I think it's clear to him that she didn't speak properly, and Varia popped up imagining all would be well. And Mary is completely entitled to believe that Geoffrey must have been speaking to Varia before. Because who would imagine that somebody would just turn up without having called and arranged it first? Mary should have asked to see the contract signed between Geoffrey and TLC. That might have illuminated the matter a little more. Hello my friends, I'm so sorry this video was so long. I've split it into two, so the link is below, and click in and watch the second part. See you soon.